This is the second week in this 13th chapter of Hebrews, and I said I was going to start with verse 4 where it says marriage. And that's almost a nasty word to say now. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. But whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. Yes. Society has taken on the second part of this verse, being whoremongers. Amen. Yes. They call it living together. They call it partnering. It's just fornication. Or adultery. Having more than one partner now it's just messed up. Yes. Marriage is something because of the past generation who left the church. It's a spiritual decay that began, and when you have a spiritual decay, you have a home decay. Yes. Wow. Yes. And 17, it was it's up this year from 17% up to 33% people don't want to marry. And those who have been married, and it's so strange how they want to, and they're departing from one another, thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. That movie that Mr. Tyler Perry made is so prevalent with the going-ons in the world now. The Family That Prays, not P-R-A-Y-S, P-R-E-Y-S, where especially, I've seen this especially in the black community, where the young women, and I see it on TV, the black young women, the African descent young women, they get the education, and not knowing the system is playing them against their counterpart, the black man. And build her up. Going back in history, the black woman, the African descent woman, supported her family and her man, irregardless to the education he had. She respected him because they were in the church. Since this two past generations, and since the doors have been opened and the hiring has been by the white counterpart who hire black women, even though the black man may be qualified, it's to keep him, quote, in his place. Broke up the family. And I'm telling you what the studies. And she began to become very egotistical because of her position in education. And that movie solidified and really confirmed the happenings of what has taken place and what is. Where it's amazing now it's sad now that the young men, our young men, are missing the male factor in the family life. They are turning more homosexual, speaking like women, talking like women, holding their hands like women. I'm looking at it in the black community. Where it causes here where God says marriage is honorable. If back in before my generation, and also during part of my generation, if a young man got a girl pregnant, he gonna marry that girl. You call it a shotgun wedding anyway, but he was gonna marry her and take care of that family. Because it would have been a disgrace in the community. Now, they advertise shacking indirectly by the kind of pills and the usage of those other stimulants. Not saying anything about marriage. They just say when you have the feeling. Marriage is honorable. In all, and the bed undefiled. It's coming now where right is wrong. And wrong is right. You don't feel good doing wrong.
Right.
You don't.
No.
You feel guilty, and you are guilty. Rightfully so. Your conscience bothers you. And whoremongers and adulterers, those who have, and you got to be careful when you start getting into socialites. You get on the job and they say, oh, come on, and smiling here and smiling there. And they, you got to be careful.
Yes. Yes.
Because the emotions, you're human.
Yes.
We're sexual beings anyway.
Amen.
And when you get away from what you've been doing and what you have been doing, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Not to become involved. Amen. God will judge. Let your conversations be without covetousness. And be content with such things as ye have, for he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. That's what got Israel in trouble.
Yes, you're right.
Because they got comfortable and began to enjoy the company of those that God said don't have company with. They began to become covetous. Covetous is, I want what you got.
Right.
And I want that, I want your shoes. There's a whole lot of other, I want your shoes. I want your woman. I want your man.
Yes.
There are a lot of men and women. Be careful and be content. In other words, Satan will have you looking outside of your own, what God has blessed you with.
Yes.
You have to be careful when God is blessing you and you moving fast. And you better keep your eyes up instead of more horizontal. When you start looking more horizontal and less upward, you start compromising, start getting in trouble. For he has said,
Yes.
I will never leave you nor forsake you.
Yes.
God don't leave us.
No.
We leave him.
Amen.
James said, when you're drawn away with your lust,
Right.
you allow yourself, you don't have to be, but you allow yourself to be drawn away.
You're right.
Just because you're not happy at home, don't give you the right to be happy outside the home.
Amen.
You become a whore
Right.
or an adulterer. Go to God. He
Amen.
can fix anything.
Amen.
So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper,
Yes.
and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. There you go. Why you walk in fear? Why are you in fear?
Right.
Some people can't stand nothing. You know why? Because they too much they too much they got to have control. If they don't have control, they run. They run away from challenges. So that we may boldly say. Now he's saying, the Lord said, I will never leave you nor forsake you.
Yeah.
Then he says, so that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper.
Yeah.
Now he didn't say he's going to do it all.
Right.
Right.
Some want God to do it all.
Yes.
They pray, oh Lord, I'm so hungry. Get up. You got food in the house, fix it.
Right.
I just give you an example. Fear will make you timid.
True.
It will cause you to forget that God is your helper.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
He told Israel, he said, now I'm giving you the land. I'm giving you the land. Now you go take it.
Right.
He said, I'm giving it to you, but I'm going to be there with you.
Right.
Amen.
Israel, you know what they did? Yeah, it's good. But we can't go over there, them giants.
Right.
Fear. Fear knocked them out
Right.
of their blessing. I'll come to verse 7 next week. I want to go back up here. You would be surprised how I got to give it to Sister Scott. When I was in school, Berkeley, she caught the bus to Brookside Hospital. I guess that's Brookside Hospital.
For doctors.
Brookside, what was it?
Well, it was Brookside, then they named it Doctors for people who didn't realize it used to be Brookside years ago. And now it's closed now, but it's Doctors lately.
She used to catch the bus, 9 o'clock at night, go to work. One of us was at home with the children. We made sure, we made a pact, an understanding. When I'm away, she's at home with the children. When she's away, I'm at home with the children. Sure, we suffered financially. It was a hard struggle, but we valued the intrinsic values of putting and nourishing our children so that they can have a better life. Now they're standing on their own 2 feet. Each one of them. You can't help. You have to nurture. Parents can't be running the street, leaving their children on Grandma and Ma and Uncle John while they out there partying and then getting pregnant again. Or doing their thing. That breaks up the home.
Amen.
That's why some are unhappy in the home, because they don't enjoy one another. I got to give it to her. She worked while I went to school, got my degrees, and she stayed in her place as a woman. She didn't say, I got mine, and you try to get, she didn't go on that. She didn't do that. Some women, when they get theirs, they try to belittle the man. Back in my grandfather, they didn't do that. My father only had a first grade education. My mother, she was very smart. She was an intellect. She had charisma. She went to school, but she never downed my daddy. She recognized him. He was the man. But something happened after the Brown versus Board of Education. Something happened. And we see the decline. When you see the decline in the family, the marriage, look at the church. Look at who goes to church. Look for him. Even some in the church are dissatisfied. The spiritual life, your spiritual life and understanding supports the marriage and home. In the center of every marriage should be Jesus.
Amen.
You can't make it. We got our differences. She thinks, she got her thoughts, I got my thoughts. But Jesus has made the difference. God made the difference in our marital life. She don't agree with everything I do. I don't agree with everything she do. But we have an understanding. You know, my mother and father, they would be talking loud sometimes. I say, why are you all talking all so loud? Well, you know what my mother told me? She said, come here, Maurice. She said, your father and I understand one another. You know what she was telling me? Stay out of our business. You know what I did when they started talking loud? Walk out the door. That was their conversation. We had a wonderful family. Yes, we did. They had their differences. But one thing about it, she respected my daddy. This is where religion, when you have a godless family life, you got trouble in the makings. Give me that old time religion. Those who like to say something on the lesson, you may stand. Give me that old time religion, Lord.